You want to know how to actually raise your frequency or vibration, and do you want to know what it even means beyond some abstract idea of positive thinking and mindset? Because it is something that you can actually measure. It is energetic. So welcome to Soul Mystique. My name is Saphira, and I like to teach about aligning with the higher self through quantum mechanics and practical steps. So today's video is a follow-up to my first video, and this will be about practical steps you can take to raise your frequency or vibration. So first, I'm going to start by explaining the more simple, common ways you can change your frequency, and then I'll get into the 4 most powerful ways that you can change your frequency through sound, light, symbols, and choice. In the previous video, I mentioned the Hawkins scale of consciousness, and you can look this up as well. It is sort of like a tool, a physical tool to actually measure your frequency. And frequency is a state of your consciousness. It's a state of being. And so I want to start out with the most obvious thing, your mood. What mood do you carry with you every day? Are you stressed out? Are you in feelings of lack, depression, guilt, shame, anger, resentment? That is going to lower your frequency into the lower 3D range. And so, on the flip side, to raise your frequency, you want to do what you can to get into states of gratitude, happiness, joy, unconditional love, positive emotions. And then next thing, objects. So you have objects around your home, and this kind of ties into environment as well, which I'll get into after objects. But objects, what do you have in your home? What decor do you have? Does the decor make you feel happy, or does it make you feel, claustrophobic, cluttered, stagnant, or is it stuff you don't really align with anymore, but you just haven't gotten around to getting rid of it? Because the objects you have around you carry frequency as well. And so, let's say you got some decor or clothing when you were a teenager, and now you're an adult, and that's not really you anymore. It doesn't really align with you. It's going to hold stagnant energy because you're no longer aligning with that, and you're not bringing in anything new to change the frequency flow. You're keeping these old stagnant things around you that you don't align with, and that is going to keep your frequency stagnant. It's like that lady Marie Kondo was saying years ago, if it doesn't spark joy, get rid of it. And another pitfall here is if you are afraid or hesitant to get rid of stuff you don't want anymore because, oh, it was expensive, or what if I need it in the future even though you probably haven't used it for years, that is a frequency of lack. That is a mindset of lack, that you don't have enough, that you will not be able to replace it. You will not be able to afford anything new to replace it or anything better. And that will keep you in a frequency of lack and block abundance. So truly get rid of it, donate it, sell it, whatever, if it does not align with you. Same if it was a gift and, you just don't want to get rid of it because you would feel bad, but it doesn't align with you. That's a frequency of people pleasing. So again, truly just get rid of what does not align with you because it holds stagnant frequency and subconscious mindsets of lack or people pleasing or what have you, or resentment if, it's something that reminds you of an ex or someone you don't like, whatever, get rid of it, right? And instead, bring in objects that bring you joy, happiness, whatever, something that makes you feel good. Bring in decor that makes you feel good. And so, next, environment. The environment you are in every day will also highly affect your frequency. So think of not only the objects you're surrounding yourself with, but the people. Do you surround yourself with good people that, are kind, caring, loyal, generous, whatever you would like to see in your relationships? Or do you surround yourself with people that stress you out? Angry people, rude people? I used to work as a hairstylist, so I had a lot of customers, that were just in very dense frequencies, and they were rude, and, anyone who's worked in customer service will know that there are great customers and then customers that just stress you out. And so I had to leave that job because it was so draining for me. It was so draining for me to be around just other people with really dense low frequency that I could tell were carrying a lot of anger, a lot of stress, just, bad moods, and then they would kind of take it out on me or the people around us. And so be careful of your environment. It's easier said than done, but really try to find a workspace if you can, or a living space that does not stress you out and drain you and make you just hate going to work every day or just hate where you're at. And also, being in nature helps. Now, I'm not saying you have to go move out to the mountains and become a monk or anything, but, spending time in nature, being able to set some time aside for yourself to sit in a peace and quiet, that will help you align with higher frequencies and to feel better and ground yourself. And so, diet. Next thing is diet. And yes, your diet does affect your frequency. Processed foods, junk, will lower your frequency. They will make you feel sluggish, tired, drained, and even meat from abused animals. So, like hormone pumped meat, abused chickens, pigs, cows. You don't want to be eating any of that. Now, I'm not saying you have to go vegan, but if you're going to eat meat, try to get free-range meat that was humanely raised, because, as I said in my previous video, energy cannot be destroyed, only transformed into a new state, and this is a law of physics. So, if an animal was abused, you now will absorb the frequency of suffering when you eat that meat. Same with water. The Japanese researcher Dr. Masaru Emoto discovered that water crystals would form differently when exposed to positive words, music, and frequency versus negative words and frequency. And there's even similar research with plants. There's studies where plants would flourish and grow better when told positive affirmations versus negative insults, right? And our body is 75% water. So you want to bless your water, and this doesn't need to be anything crazy or anything like that. Just, speak to your water, actually. Tell her what you want. Say to your water, I want to feel good. I want to be abundant. I want to be healthy, whatever. And then drink it, because you're going to absorb that water and that's going to boost your frequency. And so also with diet, I would say eat intuitively. Your body, once you start to consciously become aware of your body, your frequency and what it wants, it will tell you what it wants. So I went vegetarian just because my body all of a sudden decided it wanted to stop eating meat. Now, I've seen other people say they go on carnivore diets and they feel great. So it's a matter of what you want. For your body, what your body wants. Because, it really just depends on the frequency your body needs. Meat is more grounding, whereas plants and lighter foods will help you get into more of the higher chakras, the more, what would you call it, higher states. So it depends on your body. Some people are very anxious and need a lot of grounding, and some people just kind of need that boost, that uplifting boost. So listen to your body, but make sure whatever you eat is not processed junk, right? And so movement. You don't need to be a bodybuilder, marathon runner, whatever, but you do want to have a consistent exercise routine, whether it's just yoga or walking. Movement is vital for your body's health, but also your fascia. And fascia is like your organ of energetic sensory. So it's like the sixth sense. Your fascia is what helps move all the energy around your body and helps you detect things that you cannot see. And so fascia, let's say you've experienced trauma or stress, whatever negative emotions, it will hold on to that. And I had this issue really bad where I had so many tight knots, and it's like physical therapy did not help. Stretching, I'm hypermobile, so too much stretching was actually making things worse for me. And so I had to do gentle somatic movements, fascia movements to help, loosen up the fascia and release all this old trauma, these old emotions, right? And so movement will help release all the junk from your fascia, and it helps your lymphatic system move and circulate for your body. Because if you're not moving, you're stagnant, and your body becomes stagnant, your energy becomes stagnant. So next is media. What media do you consume? What music do you listen to? What do you watch on social media? What movies do you watch? What games do you play if you play video games? Because that's also going to affect you energetically. I used to be a big fan of horror movies. Horror movies, suspense, mystery was like my favorite thing, crime, because I was also very in a lower state of just depression and fear and insecurities. And when I started to raise my frequency, I actually lost interest in horror movies and all of that. I did not want to see people get hurt or anything demonic or weird like that anymore. And you just want to be mindful of what you consume, right? And same with sad music. You don't want to listen to sad music or angsty music or music that is just lyrics that you would not align with, like anything really crass or disgusting, basically. And I know there's a lot of music with really good beats, but be careful of the lyrics you are listening to, because words are a very powerful frequency, and I would say that words are our most powerful way of changing our frequency and our reality. So just be mindful of what you're consuming. You just don't want to be consuming things like with tragedies, same with news, tragedies, misery, violence. That's going to keep you in those lower states of fear, whether you realize it or not. Fear, hopelessness, etc. So try to instead watch and consume things that make you laugh, that make you smile, that just make you feel gratitude or just very happy in the heart, feel heartfelt content, that type of stuff. Again, nature's a great thing you can go spend time in if you really want to help just get a break and detox from all the crazy media out there in the news. And so now I want to get into the most important ways you can change your frequency. The 4 most powerful things you can do. Sound, light, symbols, and choice. So sound, again, your voice is the most powerful way to align with your higher self. Singing, speaking, And again, try to speak positively if you can. Positive affirmations will help to embody your higher self and to help rewire your mindset. And so, voice, very important. And if you're someone that likes to listen to affirmations, an actually better way to do it would be to record the affirmations yourself with like a microphone app or voice recorder app on your phone or whatever, and just listen to it, because your voice is more powerful than someone else's voice for you, because your soul will recognize your own voice. And so sound is very important. And if you've read studies on dementia, music is something that people with dementia don't seem to forget. Like, they will forget everything except their favorite songs from when they were younger in the past, right? Because sound and music are the frequency and language of the soul. And so this is why I actually have another music channel here on YouTube, which I will link in the description, where I like to create healing music, because I just love music, and again, sound is the language of the soul. And so light is the next thing. And what do I mean by light? I mean by colors, technically, because the light spectrum is made of colors. And so I'm not saying one color is worse than another color or what have you. I'm just saying that your body will need certain colors at certain times for certain frequencies, because each color is a different frequency. That's why if you look at the chakras, they all have a different frequency. And we actually have 15 main chakras, not just 7. But, the main 7 chakras go from like red to orange, to yellow, to green, to blue, to indigo, to violet, right? And so you may find at times, because this happens to me, where I'll be in a mood where I want everything red. I just feel like wearing red or something like that. And that's typically when I need grounding. Red is the root chakra. Or maybe I'm very disconnected from my intuition and I start craving like indigo and purple, the third eye and the crown chakra. Or even blue. Blue is like a throat chakra color, right? And so that could be when you're not speaking up for yourself enough. So I know when I was a teenager, blue was my favorite color, because surprisingly, I just did not, speak up for myself. I was very introverted. I was just very shy. I was afraid to speak my mind and get ridiculed for it. And so I just was very drawn to blue. And I didn't know why at the time. Now, I'm not saying your favorite color is gonna mean anything for your personality, but it could just be that you're drawn to that color for a reason. Because now my favorite color is actually pastel pink. And pink brings me a sense of joy and playfulness. Color. Surround yourself with colors that you feel like you need. And also, for light, sunlight. Being out in sunlight is very important for your frequency and not just your health. Of course, vitamin D. Vitamin D is a mood booster, but the sun is vital for boosting your mood. It's like we have an epidemic of sitting indoors with LED lighting, and everyone feels tired, drained, foggy, and trust me, if you just go and spend like 30 minutes a day outside in the sun, and especially in the morning when you wake up, within like a week or two, you'll start feeling a big difference. You'll feel a big difference in mood, a big difference in mental clarity, and a big difference in energy. The sun is like our infinite source of energy. It is plasma. So go soak up the sun. So the next thing are symbols. And just be mindful of these symbols you look at, because symbols actually do carry a lot of importance, right? And so I know one popular symbol is the flower of life. The flower of life is actually a frequency drainer that most people don't realize, because if you look at the flower of life, the shapes are finite. They are closed off boxes and they end. And so if you want an infinite frequency, or what would represent an infinite eternal frequency, a better symbol is the eternal lotus of life. And so symbols also are visualization. What do you visualize? What is symbolic for you? That is another big thing for your subconscious frequency. And lastly, we have choice. Choice is very important. What do you choose to believe? What do you choose to feel? And what do you do every day? What actions do you make? And so it may not sound easy to just choose to feel something. You could ask, well, I don't choose to feel angry. Something made me angry, right? But you actually do have a choice. You can choose to sit there in that resentment and feel angry about the situation, or you can stop and ask, what can I do to feel better? What can I do to not be angry about this? Or what can I do to change the situation? What can I do to change the mood? You don't have to sit there and stew in anger forever, right? You can decide to listen to some positive music, go do something that is de-stressing, something relaxing, something joyful, watch something funny that makes you laugh. You can choose to change your beliefs, you can choose to change your emotions, and you can choose to change your actions and how you show up every day. So I hope this video was helpful, explaining practical steps you can take every day to physically raise your frequency and vibration past just having a positive mindset, because there are practical things you can do and bigger things you can do to boost your frequency. And by boosting your frequency, you will attract higher frequency scenarios for your life, better relationships, better jobs, better opportunities, and manifest your desires. And you'll also align with your higher self, which will help attract your sense of purpose. Because if you feel lost and aimless in life, and you don't know what to do, but you feel like something needs to change, and you're just not really happy, boosting your frequency will help to manifest your purpose and your sense of joy. So if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will make more videos in this series about aligning with the higher self and practical steps you can do.